All right, everyone, we have our new spelling and vocabulary list. This is our last list for Q1. You will notice that our test for this will be on Thursday, October 14th. That's because we don't have school on Friday the 15th due to it being fall break, a long weekend that weekend. So just know your test will be Thursday of that week. So our words this week all have to do with graph. You'll see that root in there throughout the words, and that has to do with writing. So let's begin going through our words. I love how slow it goes when I'm doing it on this video. Paragraph. This is a noun, a group of related sentences. You know that when we write, oftentimes we say a good paragraph may have 4 to 6 sentences. It may have 6 to 8, just depending on what it is you are doing. In our writing unit for personal narratives, we saw that paragraphs could be kind of short sometimes, depending on why we were switching to new paragraphs. But the purpose is that these sentences that are written are related to each other, so they need to stay together. Just a reminder that you have your notes in Classroom. You can print them up and write on them. You can type directly in them. Pause this video as often as you need to. All right, let's keep going to our next word. It's going to be that slow every time. Seismograph. This is a noun, an instrument that measures earthquakes. So when an earthquake occurs, this needle moves across the paper, showing how strong it is. And this is how it gets its rating on the Richter scale of how strong of an earthquake it is. Next, we have autograph. This is a noun. It's a signature. Maybe there's someone that you have gotten their autograph before, a celebrity or someone at Disney. The characters at Disney I know have done signings in the past, and an athlete or an actor. Something that's very important for you to know is how to give your own autograph, your own signature, because as things have still gone on, as much as we are a digital world, you still need to know how to sign your own name in cursive. So make sure you can do that. Bibliography, not bibliography. I don't always say graph in these. Bibliography, it's a noun. It's a list of works cited in a text. So when you do writing projects or research projects, you will find your information from other books or other websites. You can't take credit for that work. You have to give credit where it's due with the bibliography. Now, when we do our written responses in Lit, we often name the text or name the author in our written response. And that is fine in a very short response. But when you are doing a longer research project that is pages long, and you are using multiple different sources to find your information, you need to give a bibliography. Typically, it's the last page of your entire writing or your whole project. If you're making a slideshow, it might be the last slide. And that's where you need to give credit where it's due. You need to cite where you got your information. Autobiography. This is a noun. It's a true life story written by and about the author. So here, I've got a book about Pele. It's his life story. And do you know who wrote it? Pele. He wrote his own story. That is what an autobiography is, where it's written by the person who the book is about. Not to be confused with a biography. A biography is a noun. It's a history of the life of a person, but it's written by someone else. Our who was books are, especially I know there's who, what was, and things like that, but the who was books about these different individuals, these are all biographies, true stories giving the history of this person written by somebody else. You can see the author is different than who the text is about. Photography. This is a noun, the art of making pictures with a camera. So you might say, I thought you said this was writing. Well, it's in a sense taking what we see in the world and writing or drawing it on a different surface. Nowadays, photography is all digital, but if you research what early photography was like, it's pretty amazing how they discovered to take pictures and what these original cameras really were like. Cartography. This one might be a new one for you. Cartography, it's a noun. It's the art of map or chart making. Making a map is very challenging because everything has to be to scale. It has to match what it would be in real life, but it's miniature on these maps. It's not truly life size. It really couldn't be. So it definitely is an art to creating these maps. A homograph. A homograph is a noun. These are words that are spelled the same, but they could have different meanings and pronunciations. Remember, graph has to do with writing. You might be thinking, is this like the homophones we do in bell work sometimes? It's not, because homophones, phonics, has to do with it sounding the same, okay, like two, two, and two, but they're all spelled differently, and they have different meanings. Here, they look the same, they're spelled the same, but they have different meanings and pronunciations. For example, I have a bass fish and a bass guitar. Those words look the exact same, but they're homographs in that they are pronounced differently and they have different meanings. And here we have a phonograph. It's a noun, a device that produces sounds from a disc. Here, the sound, again, phonograph. There are little grooves written into these discs, if you've ever seen a record player. But the phonograph comes from this large bell projecting that sound out. Well, you have classwork to do. We are going to look at them. If you are waiting until you return, I'll get those papers to you at that time. If you are filling them out at home, you can either bring them back to me when you're done, or you can take a picture and submit those to me instead. Or again, you can work in the actual Google Slides with the classwork and turn that in Classroom. I am going to walk through the classwork with you. Again, you have the matching, so you could just come in and in the actual slide, type your answers in these blanks. Okay. Again, these are in different orders. It might not be word for word the same. Moving on, about how many sentences do you think should be in a strong paragraph? Not a complete sentence answer. Just give me a number. Use seismograph in a complete sentence. I still have people telling me a seismograph is a tool used to show earthquakes. That's the definition. I don't want the definition. I want you to use the word. Here, answering it in a complete sentence, if you could have anyone's autograph, past or present, who would it be and why? And if it's a complete sentence, you can't say, who could I say? You can't say Steph Curry because he's my favorite basketball player. That's not a complete sentence. Instead, you would say, I would like to have Steph Curry's autograph because he's my favorite basketball player. It's only a few extra words, but that's the difference in a complete sentence and not. If you're writing a report and you get information from another book or article, you must include it in your bibliography. Why do you think this is important? Don't start with because. Start with, it is important because. Some photographers focus on taking pictures of nature or people or food. If you were a photographer, what would you want to take pictures of and why? Complete sentences. I would want to take pictures of popcorn because popcorn is the greatest food in the world. That's how you would phrase that. Have you ever read an autobiography? Who is it about? If you haven't, who would you like to read an autobiography about? This can just be a name. Have you read a Who Was biography before? Who is it about? If you haven't, which one would you like to read? Doesn't say complete sentence, so just give me a name. Cartography is the art of making maps. Would you prefer a map printed on paper or a map on a device like a phone? Why? I would prefer a map on paper because I can see all the possible routes or whatever that is. Most people don't use phonographs anymore. List 3 ways that people listen to music today. So, just a list, 1, 2, 3. How do people listen to music today when it's not a phonograph? Okay, what homograph is being illustrated in these images? You're looking here, you're looking here, and you're looking at what he's doing here. It's one word. It's spelled the same, has different meanings. It can be pronounced differently. Just give me the word down here. That's all that I need. Okay, guys, if you have any questions while you are working at home, feel free to leave a comment or send me an email and I will get back to you.